What's going on, football fans? It's me, J.R. Clark, back again with another Pound for Pound ATL Live. This time, fresh off of his Valentine's dinner, joined by my main man, Jonathan. What's going on, John?
It's going good. Valentine's Day went good. So happy wife, happy
There it
life.
is.
That's how it rolls.
Yep, that is the mantra and motto that we try to live by. If Mama's happy, most of us are then therefore happy. Um,
Yep.
well, we are fully squarely like me and John Yates were talking about on the Tuesday show on the live stream. We are squarely in the off season. Super
We
Bowl is
are.
done.
We are.
Just because I didn't get a chance to chat with you about the Super Bowl, would you like give me your 30-second overview? What do you did you like it? What?
I loved it. I wanted KC to win. So seeing them come back from the deficit and win that game at the end of the game like that, me like everybody in our house because I went to my brother's house
Mm-hmm.
and watched it there, and everybody that was there, everybody wanted the Chiefs to beat the Eagles.
Okay.
Nobody was pulling for the Eagles, which uh, and so yeah, watching that, I said this like not long after after he re-injured his ankle.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if the Chiefs come back and win this game, and at the time they were down 10, and with that defense, I was like, I don't know if they can.
Right.
And now he's hobbled and stuff like that.
It was looking
Um, I was like, this is looking to be potentially like the NFL version of the Kurt Schilling bloody sock game.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh, so seeing them come back like that, and it was a great game overall. Like the defense for the Eagles looked really good in the first half. Uh, their offense looked good, and then you flip it on the second half. The Chiefs defense really turned it on. Um, I think they got the only one, maybe two sacks of the game, and those were not even traditional sacks.
Mm-hmm.
Those were, hey, we ran the guy out of
Right.
bounds behind the line of scrimmage. But yeah, that vaunted Philadelphia defense led the league in sacks. Had as many sacks as the Falcons have had in the last 10 years. It seems like in one season, and didn't get a single sack.
Right. I mean the
So
Chiefs O line uh, during their parade was wearing a shirt that said zero sacks allowed, uh, which is a great segue into what we're talking about today. Is what
it
we
is.
what we come together to talk about this evening is with off season approaching. We're now like in the month of leading up to free agency. We are almost exactly. Hold on, I think no, we're one day under exactly a month. Yesterday was exactly a month until the start of free agency.
Yep.
So the figure we would kind of go through this by like position group, not necessarily
Yep.
just highlighting one guy or one free agent, but just kind of giving people an idea of who we think could help this team, who might be in the price range to help this team, because they definitely need it, right? They definitely need the help, and so we're going to start off with a bang. We're going to start off with the big uglies up front. Everybody clamors about building the trenches, so the first thing we're going to look at is O line, right?
Yep.
O line last year was better than it was the year before, but I think that had a lot to do with the mobility of the quarterbacks that were behind it.
Oh yeah, of course.
So that made it look a lot better. Plus, you were asking the O linemen to run block more than you were pass blocking, which O linemen are very much in favor of because they can just fire off the ball at their defensive counterparts and
Eh, Well, and they tend to be better at that just coming out of
right.
college. Like the thing that's hard for or the thing that takes time to really mature and really because I mean you have rare individuals, right?
Yeah.
But the vast majority of the offensive linemen that come into the league, they can generally run block.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of them are better than others, but they can all generally kind of get in the way of somebody at the very minimum. Um, but it's learning how to pass block properly.
Right at the
Uh,
pro level.
at the pro level is the thing that takes the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and anytime you're just trying to whether it's free agents, although free agents like what we're going to talk about today is a little bit easier, simply because you have pro film to look at.
Mm-hmm.
It's the even then it can be really tough in the NFL to try to say like, oh, this guy did great here, so he should be a fit for us, and he should work out great for us. But that's not always the case. And then you got guys. One of the guys I'm going to bring up was with the Falcons, stuck to high heaven.
Mm-hmm.
He's now moved on to another area, to another team, and he's not like the best guy out there, but he is a good guy to. If you were going to think about either somebody for like a rotation, not rotation, but like backup, swing tack, swing guard
Mm-hmm.
kind of situation, he would be a good guy to pick up. And but like when he was here, people just wanted to like literally like string him up. He
Yeah,
was he
right.
was not good at all. So.
Yeah, there's a strong theory that like offensive linemen like age like wine. They get better as they
Mm-hmm.
get older, and get more experience as they have seen more. But I think like me and you both agree, like the two biggest positions that we need to address on the O line is left guard and center. Now,
Yep.
right guard or right tackle might come up that way depending on what they do with McGarry. But right now, I'm kind of
Mm-hmm.
under the impression that they're going to bring McGarry back. Like until I see otherwise, I'm not counting it as a position of need right this minute. I think the
Yep.
left guard and center are probably bigger areas of concern. So let's go to the telestrator. Not really a telestrator, but we're going to bring up the SIS Data Hub, which is a good source of information for a lot of different things. Starting off with our left guard, which is Elijah Wilkinson. Now, Wilkinson played a grand total of 544 snaps, second most of his career, which ends up like pointing at a possible problem, right? If the most snaps you ever played was in 2019 at 745, then you played a little over 500 for us without getting hurt twice. So this is something that we have to. Longevity is something that we have to look at and we have to think about. But the one stat I want to look at is today and bring forth as a metric, because you don't have a ton of metrics with O linemen, right?
Yeah.
Not anything that really gets reported all that well. But the one that does get reported for this Sharp Information Solutions, this SIS Data Hub, is blown blocks. So if y'all can see this on the screen here in 2022, he had a total of 16 blown blocks. That's pretty
This
good.
is Elijah
Yep,
Wilkinson.
this is Wilkinson.
Okay.
And that's not bad in the 544 snaps. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna sit there and like really crap on that per se. But what I will bring up is the next guy is Drew Dalman, and this is like a big. Let's see, I'm gonna get him. All right, let's see here. Okay, this is problematic to me. Like Drew Dalman had 41 blown blocks in 1,000 snaps. That's man, that's crazy.
Well, okay. So how many blown again?
41 blown blocks, 29 in the run game,
All
12 in the pass game.
right. So he had 41 blown blocks out of 1,000 snaps.
Yep,
Elijah Wilkinson had 500 snaps
and
ish,
16.
and he had 16.
Right.
So times two for that. Let's just say he got to 1,000 snaps. If we were to assume the same consistency in production, then Elijah Wilkinson in with that same amount of snaps would probably have what 32,
Mm-hmm.
32 blown snap or blown blocks. And so neither one of those is. I haven't looked up enough of the good ones to know for sure. Like, is that good,
All
bad?
right,
Is
let's
that
see
real
here.
bad? Is that disgustingly bad?
Okay, we're gonna say what Jason Kelsey. We consider
I
him
would,
probably the
yeah,
best right now, right?
him or the center for Kansas City, probably.
All right, so we're gonna go Jason Kelsey is what we're gonna look at. Jason Kelsey in 2022 had a grand total of 5 blown blocks.
Woo,
Right. You see the difference here?
woo. Mm-hmm.
Like you see the difference, right? Uh, so Humphrey Creed Humphrey was is your center for Kansas City.
Yep.
Now he had 13 blown blocks. 13. That still ain't much. That still ain't much.
Over how many snaps?
1,071.
Yep.
Yeah. So
So he's got less. So he's got less than Wilkinson with double the playing time.
right. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's like that clearly shows you that we need an upgrade. That we need an upgrade at those two positions. So the first
Yeah.
person that I'm gonna like, we're gonna talk about centers first. We'll do left guard first, right? So
Okay.
my left guard that I want to promote or propose, rise. Oh, there he is Dalton Reisner out of Denver. He's a free agent. Now we don't know if he's gonna make it to free agency, but he's a free
Right.
agent. He was a ninth pick in the second round in 2019, and he had in 909 snaps, he had a total of 20 blown blocks. So that's not too bad. That's
No.
that's like that's what Jake Matthews gives you, right? In the 20
Yeah.
in the 20 blown block range. And in his career it's been 19, 24, 26 and 20. So he's good for about 20 to 25 blown blocks a year. That's something
Yep.
that's respectable in my opinion.
Yeah. It's not the elite like sub 10 in 1,000 snaps,
Right.
but it is. But I mean, you can't. I'm not gonna sit there and say like this guy played 1,000 out of 1,000 snaps. This guy had what? 2% of his, if that. But
Right.
it's not like 2% of his entire play history for the year. This guy messed up, and even then, we can't for 100% say that was a blown block. It could have been he was expecting guys.
Right.
There's all kinds of reasons why, but at the end of the day, it's still we just pick something, go with it, and this guy still like 2% or less
Yeah.
of his total snaps is getting or that he blew his assignment.
Right. It's 2.2%. And when I watched the film on him, like he played left guard, moves well in space, very rarely got overpowered. I mean, there were
Mm-hmm.
times like I watched the Carolina game and I watched the Vikings game. Good defensive lines, so that's what I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to see. And like I said, he got overpowered from time to time, but he was able to take his weather the initial storm of whoever was the defensive tackle in front of him, and or if it was a like passing off a combo, like a stunt, did that well, moved well in space, and he was the one that signaled the center to snap the ball. So Dalton Reisner, I don't know what money he's going to command, but if he does actually make it to the open market, he's a guy that I really hope the Falcons like kick the tires on.
Yep.
Now your guy, your guard,
Well, I just want to say I smiled when you said his name because he was like an honorable mention. I have like a couple of honorable mentions that I just kind of glanced at,
mm-hmm.
and he was one of them. I was like, yeah,
Yep,
we're on the same page here.
yeah. So your guy went undrafted, like you said. He started his
Yep.
career in Atlanta. Never really
Yep.
did do much more than play in the preseason. Never took an actual snap, but the last 4 years he's been out in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan. Now, why is this important? Obviously, because Shanahan runs that same outside zone scheme. Same thing
Yep.
with Denver with Nathaniel Hackett. Comes out of that same kind of tree,
Yep.
running that outside zone. So that's something that we're trying to look for. Now, it looks like he might have gotten hurt this past year.
Yeah, he was out for like a handful of games.
Okay.
But I believe he was able to make it back.
Yeah, because,
But I looked at like it was I started out week 13 and I was watching the game and I was like, where's he at? He
right.
wasn't there. But I went back to like a week 9 or 8 game or something like that. It was against the Dolphins,
Okay.
is the one that I looked at. So, that's a really good defensive line.
Yeah.
Um, and the guy's 6'5", 300, slightly above average arm length, though whether that makes a difference or not is up to interpretation. But so he's got a little bit longer arms for the average guard in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I saw him, just like exactly what you said, like he had good movement. He seemed to be where he was supposed to be.
Right.
Um, and he had some good speed on his reach blocks. Like he was able to get to his guy on the reach blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Now the sort of a con to that is, yeah, he was able to get there a lot of times, but what I didn't see is I didn't see him uh you know get to that block and then be able to flip his hips to kind of seal his guy off and try and actually create like a better lane. The guys were able to run through where he was at,
Right.
but like you had defensive linemen that were consistently. It wasn't just like a one time, but it was consistently where he would try to get that leverage. He was there just enough to not allow him to, um, get to let the defensive lineman get to him, but he wasn't able to completely get those hips flipped and get full leverage to like clear the way the whole way. So, um, but he always seemed to be where he was supposed to be. He looked good in space. But no, he looked good. He doesn't look like whatever he's going to command. I don't think would be, again, assuming he makes it out of
Yeah.
San Francisco. I don't think it's going to be like top of the market type deal. So that he may be attractive in that respect, and that he is probably better than what we already have.
Right.
Um, I don't know his how many blocks he missed this year. I didn't had to have a chance to look at
No,
that
no, it's
before
all
the
good.
video. So
I got it pulled up here, and in his 480 snaps, he only missed had 12 blown blocks, which wasn't too bad in my opinion. Now, if you go back and look at the 2020 and 2021, he played well over 1,000 snaps and had in each year, so that shows you some durability there.
mhm.
And had 29 and 25 blown blocks. So
So a little bit,
kind
you
of
know,
like a Wilkerson maybe. So
yeah,
if Wilkerson's demanding too much money or thinking he's going to get too much money, uh, Burnskill might be a guy who you could get at a decent price.
yeah.
So those are two guards.
Uh,
Go ahead.
yeah. So the another so that was the guy that I kind of looked at the most, and then I talked about honorable mentions. I did have one other honorable mention. I don't think he's gonna. We'll see. I mean, they got a lot of people to try to sign, so we'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But if he does make it to the open market, and if he does, we're probably going to have to outbid some people for him. Isaac
Oh
Siumalo.
yeah, yeah, the guy from Philly. Yeah,
Yeah,
it'd be interesting if he does make it to the open market or not.
yeah, because he's projected to be. I think they're projecting him to be 3 years, 33
I was
million.
about to say, like with what they're probably going to have to pay Chris Lindstrom, that would be tying up a lot of money in like your guards. So it'd be interesting to see what they do there. But yeah,
Yep.
he's a guy definitely worth looking at. I don't even have to pull up his numbers. He's one of the better ones. Now moving on into like the center territory, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about your second guy, Ethan. How'd you say his last name? What?
Posick.
Posick. Okay. So
Yep.
Ethan Posick, former second round pick out of for Seattle, and like I'm surprised. Like looking at the amount of snaps, maybe he's had some like looks like he's probably had some injury history. But when he's in there, he's definitely a much better center than what we have dealt with. He started 13 games for the Browns this past season, so he did miss 4 games. But in the 13 games that he was there, 773 snaps, only 10 blown blocks.
Yep.
So definitely represents a major upgrade in my opinion. And if you're going to run in 2023 with Desmond Ritter as your QB, having a dependable center in front of him, it would make all the difference in the world.
Yep.
Having a strong center and a strong run game is part of the makeup that makes a young QB comfortable and successful.
Yep.
So
And this guy's he's a big boy too because he's like 6'6", which is a couple inches higher, taller than the league average. You're used to seeing like the mud ducks of the world,
mm,
6'2", 6'3", 6'4", max. So this guy's a little bit taller, 309, so a little bit heftier than a lot of centers are. But he showed good speed. When I watched it, it was against the who was that against? Steelers,
mm,
maybe. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember who it was. It was another good defensive line team. Um, but he was, he had good speed when pulling, and on stretch play, like whenever he would get pulled around, he was able to get out there on his guy in time to like make a
mm.
block, allow the guy to see it. Um, was good on stretch plays, able to make his reach blocks with these. Showed, good technique consistently. Maintains his leverage good really well. Um, and over the last so this is one thing I did find. So this is a guy that had, just like we talked about at the very beginning here, how offensive linemen seem to age like fine
Mm-hmm.
wine. Over the past 3 years, 2020, 2021, 2022, his PFF scores, depending on how much you put into that, 2020, 59. 2021 was a 67, and 2022 was a
Okay,
79.
so he's
So,
steadily climbed up, which is good. I
yep,
mean,
he as far as centers go, it is I can't remember. You just said his name, but it's the Kansas City center,
Creed Humphrey.
uh, Creed Humphrey per PFF. Creed Humphrey, Jason Kelsey, this guy,
Okay,
Ethan
nice.
Posick. So,
Now we just have to wonder of like durability.
if we get a chance to get him, yeah.
Now the center that I watched and pulled like I've heard his name floated around a handful of times and really kind of got to put my eyes on him. You talk about like aging, getting better, so to speak, or
Mhm.
kind of even lends the idea that maybe Dalman could get a little bit better. He's a fifth round pick in 2016 out of Missouri, and this is Connor McGovern. Now, right now, he plays for the Jets. So, depending on what they do as far as like if they go and swing for the fences for like Aaron Rodgers, I don't know exactly what the Jets cap space is, but he might be a guy that gets replaced by a cheaper draft pick, to save on some money. But he played like for the most part, he's very durable. Started 17 games this past year, 15 last year, 16 years before, and only had 26 blown blocks from the center position.
Nice.
And so 13 on each side, very balanced in his blown assignments. Um, 13 and 13. But watching Connor McGovern, he, again, It's another guy who moves well in space, which is what you want. I purposely, like we both purposely tried to find guys who were of that outside zone scheme.
Hmm.
Of the like Shanahan tree or what have you. And this past year, you had Lafleur up there as the OC for the New York Jets. So you got to see him handle a lot of pulling, and handle not necessarily pulling, but getting out into space, getting up to the second level, passing off, doing that zone blocking where he gets a little bit of a piece and then gets up to the second level. You got to see quite a bit of that from him, and which I was definitely encouraged by. And also, like I said, another guy who I feel like could easily make it to the open market, especially if they decide to, you know, spend big on Aaron Rodgers and find themselves a little more strapped. There have been, like, from what I saw down at the Senior Bowl, there are a handful of guys, center wise, who, a team could feel good about replacing a vet with. He didn't. I didn't see him calling out any kind of protections. So,
Yep.
not that that's a prerequisite, but again, if you're going to ride with Ritter, it would be nice to have somebody with like the intelligence of an Alex Mack. Like, cause how big was that
Yep.
for Ryan when, like, the years between Mud Duck and Alex Mack, the 2 or 3 seasons that was, like, that was tough for him. That was,
It
it
was.
was, he was having to do more calling out the protections. That was the Persons James Stone years, right? And so, and then
Mm.
you brought in Alex Mack and the world of difference that it made.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. Well, it not only makes a big difference for the your quarterback, but like if you get a competent, like a guy who knows what he's doing in the center position, knows when and where he is best needed to help out the guards. You know, is able to pull and also able to call out the correct protection so that the running back knows who he's got. Um, it can make your entire offensive line so much
right.
better just because everybody, this guy makes sure that everybody's on the same page.
That's the thing. And
Um,
so I think at bare minimum, I don't know about you, but I want to give, like, I seriously want to give Drew Dalman a real hefty competition. Before,
oh yeah.
after seeing his play, low snaps, getting bowled into the back of the quarterback, like, they can't, in my opinion, go into this season, this 2023 season, with Drew Dalman as just the foregone conclusion starter at center. And even if they decide to bring back Wilkerson, you bring back Wilkerson and then add somebody like a Pochich or a McGovern to that line, and that probably makes him look better. You know,
Yep.
so yeah, I for one, hopefully they replace, even if they decide to go with Hennessy, who played a decent, like, good last 2 or 3 games, in place of Wilkerson or Wilkinson. I keep saying Wilkerson, is Wilkinson.
Yeah.
Like, even if they just say, okay, look, let's let you be left guard. I think putting in a experienced veteran at center at bare minimum would do a world of good for this line.
Absolutely. And I think if you're going to spend the money, like, granted, would I love to have Posick and
Mm-hmm.
Sayamalo?
Oh yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure.
If they're willing, if they're able to structure it in a way so that we can get those two guys and still go do other things and everything else we want to do, by all means, I would love to do that. But if we were going to only spend big money on one position on this offensive line outside of Lynch, outside of current guys we have, uh, I would absolutely go with the
Heck
center,
yeah.
and it would in the current class. Personally, I would probably go with Posick.
Yeah, I think,
Uh,
in the range that I think we're going to be in, if they feel like Posick can play a full season, I would go Posick, and then, probably go, McGovern after that. Like guard wise,
yeah,
if they're like, oh no, we want to give, Dalman, maybe if they feel like they book in Dalman between, Chris Lindstrom and a rock, another like rock solid guard, then, give me, Reisner over Burnskill. So,
oh yeah.
they,
I know. I would like after looking at Reisner some more. Like, for one, he's already on the proper side,
mm-hmm.
I
Yep,
believe. Like he's on the left side. I think I
he
could be
is like,
wrong.
yeah, he's the left
Um,
guard.
Whereas Sayamalo's on, he's right guard now. I don't think it's going to be that big a deal for him to move over to left. But again,
Depends on who
do
you
you want to
talk
pay
to.
this guy a whole bunch of well, but do you want to pay this guy a whole bunch of money and be like, hey, come on over here, and also everything you've been doing,
Do it on the
flip that,
Yeah,
mirror
just
it,
do it on the other side.
you got this.
Yeah,
Yeah, just do it on the other side. And so, yeah, Reisner, with all the issues that Denver's got, cap wise, maybe that's the guy that just doesn't. He's played himself
more money than they're willing to throw at
into
it.
you know, more money. Yeah, exactly. And then we drop in and say, hey, we'll give you, I don't know, 8 million.
Yeah, right.
Uh, something like whatever a year, something like that. Not the top end 10, $11 million, but like I said, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in that range. I'd be perfectly happy with that. With especially that guy because he's been like what I looked at of him. The guy looks the part, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, that it will. It will be interesting to see what this O line looks like at the start of training camp, is much less the start of the season, because I think you're going to have draft picks and that are going to be probably spent there, and potentially free agents depending on what they decide. But that kind of gives y'all an idea of some names to look at, some what we feel like are scheme fits, and within the range of what I think they're going to be willing and
Yeah.
looking to spend. So
And if we're wrong, tell us in the
that's it.
comments.
Yeah, and if there's a name that y'all got your eye on, please drop it down below. If you think that
Yep.
we just need to draft somebody, again, drop it down below, and hit the like button, subscribe if you ain't. Keep your eye on the channel. I'm going to attempt to do a Madden Monday. It's not going to be live because I think my computer would melt down if I tried that. But I'm going to see if I can record something. I'm putting it out there in a sense to hold my own feet to the fire and not chicken out. So we'll see how that goes. And if it's something y'all like, again, let me know. And if not, don't worry, you won't have to see it again. And as always, y'all can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Grim1128, GRIMM1128. Jonathan?
Jonathan M. Holder. Hit me up. Say hey. Yeah, I'll see you. We'll see you next Tuesday,
Yeah,
regardless.
we'll
So,
we'll be live again next Tuesday, and just like I said, as always, just keep your eye on the channel as we try new, fun, and interesting stuff. As always, Falcons fans,
yes, sir.
rise up.
Rise up.